Now the last section, using personalization to improve conversions, and how Qualaroo plays a role there. And I couldn't resist to do this to you, but for me, it does come down to using personas. And personas have a very bad reputation, and perhaps not undeservedly so. Most of them are a waste of time and nonsense, and it's because they brainstorm in a boardroom with no real data behind them. When they're done properly, this is the kind of impact you will see. This is from a Nielsen report as recent as January 2018. And a great quote that I love to illustrate why personas are so important. Your business has only 3 or 4 customers living at thousands of different addresses. But, you know, personas, and I think this is where most people get it wrong, and that's why personas have such a bad rep, is because personas is not about demographics. It's not about how old they are and, you know, the gender and that sort of thing. It is about the stuff that we spoke about right at the beginning, the goals, the fears, the frustrations. That's what your user, as I said, come to your site with a goal in mind. And with Qualaroo, you can uncover what that is, and that is what determines what you use to segment your different personas by. So if you do it effectively, actionable personas are based on real data. In fact, that's understating the point perhaps, because personas, the way I look at them, it's just a way of packaging your research. It's a way of making your data come to life. But let's be clear, it is about data. It's not about anything else. You've done all this research, you've looked at GA, you've looked at Qualaroo, and you've done all this research. How do you package it up? You package it up in a persona. They focus on goals, as I said, and this is all stuff that comes from Qualaroo. So I'm not going to go into the detail of this. You get the deck afterwards, you can go through this in your own time. But if you look at the 6 things that, from my perspective, and the way we do it in our agency, the 6 things that go into a persona, all of this comes out of qualitative research, and most of it comes out of a tool like Qualaroo. So a final case study then to illustrate and to bring that to life, to illustrate how we use that. So this is from one of our optimizers, Phil Cave, who did this piece of work for Ricoh. And on the left there, you have the original landing page. Now, this is a PPC landing page, and at this time, they were spending over $100,000 per month on AdWords. And then now if you look at that page on the left, it's fair to say, just by looking at it and by doing just a basic heuristic evaluation, you know, there's a lot you can improve. Let's accept that. And the same can be said for the form on the right. But you want to go really deeper than that. As I said earlier on in the call, it's not really about what happens on the page. It's not about how do we improve the structure of this page. It's not about how do we move things around so the page looks better. That's a good starting point, but we really want to optimize that sales conversation. And what Phil did was built very extensive personas using qualitative research, a lot of it based on Qualaroo. And what you'll see there, without going into detail, is that the kind of language that these various personas will best respond to, all coming from research, some of it lifted directly from those surveys. What value proposition will they react to? What do they need to see in order to start that sales conversation that we spoke about earlier? And in what sequence do we need to surface the information to them? And that determines what happens on the page. And, 399% increase in conversion rate. And if you look at that page, then, some of the things are directly from those personas. Those key elements that we saw in those personas are here. Control those printing costs. That's the number one thing that came out in those personas. Almost everyone want to be have that as a primary concern. Most personas were in such a hurry. They wanted to consume this information quickly. So those key points have to be easy to read. And then the form itself was, it's almost only a third of the form that's left behind. But again, it's not what Phil didn't set out to do was to say, how do I take this original page and just improve the layout? That would be one way of looking at it. But what he did here was to look at the qualitative data and the Qualaroo insights and to say, what are the various personas? What are the various people that are active on the site? What do they want to achieve? What are their goals when they come on this page? And what gets in their way? And let's knock those back